morning. We are so excited to be here at Coverings to talk to you about the smartphone world we live in and how it impacts us as wall covering and floor experts. So today I want to introduce myself. I'm Tressa Samdal. I'm the Director of Marketing at Florida Tile. I have over 14 years of experience in the hard surface flooring industry in both marketing and product design. And this is my colleague Elizabeth Peck, who has 3 years in ceramic and tile, and additionally she also has 20 years of experience in fashion. So I want to start out by just talking about some statistics on smartphones. The average adult in the US spends an average of 3 hours and 35 minutes on their mobile devices. In 2019, it will surpass television as the most used medium. Nearly all additional time spent on mobile devices will be from smartphone usage. This will account for 2/3 of the mobile usage. Apps account for over 90% of the internet time. Almost half of the app time occurs on the individual's top app, and 90% being in their top 5. The average US adult listens to over 50 minutes per day of audio through mobile apps, 40 minutes of social, and the other major uses are video, gaming, and messaging. So consider this. The average adult will spend approximately 15% of their waking hours on a smartphone every month. Consumers walk around today with the tools to make smart purchasing decisions at the palm of their hands. Apps that allow them to pin and post a design, cameras that allow them to capture instant inspiration, and a free and fast exchange of opinions all come together to shape how we think, interact, and action in our buying decisions. So let me ask you, how do you shift this technology to your advantage? Well, what's the biggest challenge that our smartphone world has presented to business? Staying relevant. Today, companies have to radically revolutionize themselves to stay relevant. That means they have to change the way that they look at do business every couple months. Internet and smartphones have forever transformed the business landscape. It is estimated by Ensure Research that almost $1 trillion of potential business is lost to competitors due to companies not staying relevant. 68% are more likely to leave a company, to recommend a company by a friend or family if they believe it's relevant. 61% of incidences where customers will switch brands by lack of relevance. 29% of customers say they'd quit doing business altogether with a company that wasn't relevant. So how do you stay relevant in this ever-changing world? Well, we have to offer the right products at the right time. We have to connect to smartphone users in the physical world, and we have to connect to smartphone users in the digital world. So let's talk about product relevance. Obviously, we know that products move at the speed of light, and the retail industry struggles to catch up. So this is a story we're all familiar with. A new product is launched in Europe. A blogger writes an article about this and posts the new product launch on Instagram. And it's seen in the US in minutes. The customer sees the product and it's perfect for their project. So they contact their salesperson, and if the salesperson doesn't have something that's suitable, it's a potential loss of sale. So there's several things we can do to speed up development. Well, starting with who we choose as innovators. Faster innovators are strong innovators. It's known that if you have a fast innovator, they'll produce 30% more revenue than a slow innovator. We can also reduce our development costs by prototyping early. I know we like to wait until the product is perfect before we show a potential customer, but showing them early and knowing that it's maybe not the right product allows us to save money and time. Dedicating people and resources to the development process is very important. If you have 25 people that are focused maybe 10% of their time, you're not going to get much done. But if you have 5 people and it's 100% of their time, you're going to innovate much quicker. And finally, all companies have to have aligned goals, all the way from the top to the bottom. If one department is disconnected, it can greatly slow down the process. So how can we be relevant in the physical world? And you're saying, well, why is that important? Looking down is the new looking forward. We look down as we sit at restaurants, as we sit with our friends and family, even at the dinner table, and even walking, we're looking down. So the floor has become a very important focal point. Wayfinding, interesting installations, and even messaging underfoot have become really important in capturing a customer's attention. Walls have become more than a feature point. They're now photo opportunities. Cities and businesses are creating selfie walls for tourists and customers. So let me ask you this. In our evidence-based society, if we didn't take a picture of it, did it really happen? And these selfie walls are a great way to organically advertise your business or even a space. So what does this mean for you? It means that showrooms should offer inspirational installation on both the floor and the walls for great photo opportunities. Also consider having a space with excellent lighting so that customers can take a photo of the sample for future reference. We're in a photo world. We have to have a space where they can take photos and put together ideas for their homes. Consider charging stations in your showrooms for the customers while they shop. And also consider having a good area for charging in meetings. So let's talk a little bit about the relevance of smartphones in the digital world. So we all know about social media. And some of the most important platforms are, of course, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. But today I want to talk about Instagram. In the words of Neil Patel, a digital marketing expert who's written lots of books, on Facebook, only 32% of users engage with brands on a regular basis. When it comes to Instagram, on the other hand, 68%. That's more than double the opportunity. So why has Instagram become important? Well, Instagram has changed the business of interior design. In a few short years, Instagram has created a generation of designers that have access to clients with just a few clicks. So let me give you an example. There was a great story about a designer who was found because she had put up pictures of a lot of installation spaces she had, but she tagged the products. And she was able, she had a customer that was searching for a lamp on Wayfair, and it was connected to Instagram, and she got the job because that customer liked the lamp, found it on Instagram, saw her work, and hired her. Trends are moving faster than ever. Before, as we all know, we could really identify the millennial, before the millennial change, we could identify the decade really easily by the design. But now we're going quickly from one trend to the next. Moody tones of industrial chic to pastel hues of minimalism to neon maximalism. Instagram has also sped up consumption of design and innovative products. The consumers are moving at the speed of light. They're armed with smartphones. Consumers can find what they want, when they want it, at the best possible price. We're in the see it now, buy it now era. So how do you build a brand on Instagram? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to define your goals. You have to decide why you want to be there and what your goal of your brand is. Then you also have to know who you're targeting. Knowing what interests and inspires your target audience is key. Do your competitor research. It pays to know their goals and strategies. Remember, they're targeting the same customer, and you can learn from their wins and their failures. Plan your content strategy. This is really important. You need to establish the tone and identity of your brand, and you need to plan a monthly calendar, and you need to execute that calendar. You have to hire talented product photographers and videographers. Instagram is a visual space, so the quality of your videos and your photos have to be top-notch. You have to be consistent in your style and theme. This will help you be trustworthy, memorable, tell a story, and be a unique brand. You also need to elicit emotions. Emotions are the heart of relationships, and that's true with brands as well. It's true that logic persuades, but feelings motivate. So use a little bit of imagery that really pulls at the heartstrings, because that'll keep your customers coming back for more. Use hashtags wisely. Most important is that you're seen on Instagram. Using the right hashtags will help you appear to the right customers in a sea of posts. Work with influential Instagrammers. To build your brand's authority, it's important to find the right influencers that represent your brand in the way that you want to be represented. And then finally, track your results. What gets measured gets improved. You can learn from your past mistakes and your past successes to really create something that will continue momentum. Now I'm actually going to hand it over to my colleague, Elizabeth Peck, who is going to give you a little bit more detail on how to be successful in Instagram.
Hi. So Tressa's done a really great job of convincing you that Instagram is where you need to be. Maybe some of you are there already. Maybe some of you have a personal account, but you're thinking about expanding to a business account. So I was just going to walk through some things that, as we've taken this journey, we've learned. So the first thing, and Tressa already mentioned this, is take time and do your homework. Before you ever put up your first post, take time to define your goals. Very importantly, identify your target audience, and I'll go into these in a little more detail here in a minute. And perform that competitor research. Just spend some time looking at Instagram and looking at businesses similar to yours, or looking at the things that inspire you and what appeals to you, what grabs your heart and your mind. And take time to plan your content strategy. We can't really stress that enough. So, first of all, defining your purpose. Why are you on social? Hopefully it's because your customers are there and you've done your research and you know this. But is it to increase your brand awareness? It should be. This is a great way to capture some of that relevance that Tressa had mentioned earlier. Your customers are there. What they see there and the content that you serve up can really go a long way to connecting that customer to you and even making them feel a personal connection to your business. So do you want to build brand authority? This is another great way that you can show the world what you do well. And is it to find new customers? It should be. Hashtags are a big part of that, but it's also about even how you respond to the followers you already have. So, first of all, you really need to define who you're targeting. And to do that, you need to take time to create personas. Personas are really fleshing out the personality and creating, an identity that is the person that you're going to target. So go ahead and give that person a name. Think about what is their age, what is their gender, what is their income. Get beyond those things. What do they like to do in their spare time? Do they have pets? Do they have a family? Also, this can help you with some of your content, because as you start to really familiarize yourself with who that individual is, then your content will be more relevant. You can be more focused in what you put up. A good bio is essential. So this is the first place you'll start. And this example is Coca-Cola. But people buy from people. So really take a moment to make your bio personal. It does let the world know who you are and what you do. So in this instance, it's Coca-Cola, and it says food and beverage. But then you have a few, a few words where you can kind of describe a little bit who you are. Don't be afraid to have a little fun with that, especially if it's on target for your brand and suits, these personas that you've created. This person would appeal to them, like for Coca-Cola, for instance. It says spreading optimism, one bottle at a time, or maybe 2 bottles to share. So they take a little time to kind of be a little bit personal with that. This is also where you can utilize a link that can drive traffic. to your other content, whether if you have a website, it could go to, a portfolio. You can use Bitly to shorten those links so that it fits this space, it neatens it up. That's a free online service if you've never used it before. And it's also important here to include some kind of call to action. And by that I mean a way that your followers can interact with you, which that link is one example. You also have an opportunity here to provide, your web address, some way that they can get in contact with you. Another thing to think about, this is what someone first sees when they discover you on Instagram. So take some time to think about what this looks like in terms of what you choose for your profile. You can see Coke does a really good job here of using their brand color, red, and you see that also in their grid. So this is where planning your content comes into play. If you're planning your content ahead, you can actually lay out those images and kind of get a sense of what your grid is looking like as a whole. And you also have some opportunities for play even with that grid where you can post in succession to create a larger image, things like that. So let's talk about this content. Obviously, Instagram is a visual medium. So as Tressa mentioned, excellent photos are very important. If you can afford to hire a photographer, do so. If you can't, you can get a lot of good images with a nice cell phone. But you really need to think about that this is going to be, think about, again, your grid. Think about maybe simplifying the image or having a focal point to your image. If there's too much visual information, it's so small, it'll get lost. Also, you have a lot of opportunity with video with Instagram. That's very important. You can use the highlights to archive your videos that you do in your stories. Of course, a story is a quick video that you record and it disappears in 24 hours. If you want those to remain in your feed, you can go into your settings and make sure that you save that. You toggle on to save to your highlights. So then when they first come in, you would see the little dots. This one doesn't have it, but the little dots, that would be your highlights. And you can organize those highlights too, so that content is, easy for your customer to browse. This can almost become like a mini web page. Think about that content, again, what you can do with it. People love how-tos. You can even make your Instagram post a mini blog. You can use the image or a succession of images and your post to teach. And again, this gets back to thinking about your audience and what's important to them. One really great way to connect is to solve a problem for them. So this is an opportunity for you to do that. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for ideas. They're looking for solutions. Before and afters are always hugely popular. So that's another great thing to think about in terms of content. And you can utilize quotes, things that kind of develop the personality of your brand. And there are some great online tools for that to make, meme creators. Just make sure that whatever you do is on brand. You want this to be consistent with the overall approach of your business and appeal to that person you're targeting. So thinking about that, really be conscious of your visual branding. And I mentioned this a little bit before with Coca-Cola utilizing the red. If you have a brand color, use it. You can incorporate it almost like an Easter egg. We do this with our imagery. We use our brand blue. And we'll have it somewhere, some little piece of something in our photo that kind of maintains that consistency throughout the feed. And it just makes that, it's almost a subliminal connection, really. So you see that here with Coca-Cola using the red, both in their logo, in some of their imagery, and then how that their website even ties to and relates to what they have on Instagram. So remain consistent so you're recognizable. That includes using consistent fonts and also, again, your tone. Hashtags, super important because, as Tressa mentioned, that's what makes you discoverable, and that's what you're wanting with Instagram. You're wanting to grow, your followership. So how do people find you? Hashtags are how they find you. We recommend creating a brand hashtag, and even if you're an individual, you can do that. And that can be included in your bio on your landing grid. And that's something that when people are sharing something that's your work, or if you have a selfie, if you make a selfie wall for your business, they can brand it with that hashtag. And then when other people are doing hashtag searches, they'll be able to find you. And you can find then those images, and that gives you more available content that others are posting that relate to your business. That's another great way to get something for your feed. But you want to make sure that you get permission to repost, but that's can help quite a lot. Now, in terms of using hashtags, you want to make sure that your hashtag is actually relevant to the content that you're posting. Don't just spam it with hashtags. You can use all 30, but one way to, but make sure that, again, that they're relevant. One way to do that is to put them in the first comment. So that way you're not really clogging up the feed. If someone's clicking down into your comments, they're not going to have a problem scrolling past that. And also, once you see your engagement start to go down, you can delete out that first comment, and you can comment again with a fresh set of hashtags, so you can continue to boost your post. We suggest, and actually our research suggests, that you aim for hashtags that are in about that 250,000 to 750,000 range. So what I'm talking about here is whenever you do a search on a hashtag and it pops up and it shows you how many posts there are related to that hashtag. If you choose one that is much over that amount, it's probably churning so fast that you're going to get lost in that feed. So that 250 to 750 mark is about the right to get some good exposure, but to maybe actually be seen. And after you've deleted out the first set, that's when you can go back in and pick up some that are a little more specific to your post that maybe have 250 or under, just to keep that engagement going. Speaking of engagement, and this is incredibly important, be a person and chat with your followers. It takes time. It may even be a little uncomfortable at first, but it really goes a long way to encouraging them to continue to engage in your brand. And I mean, that's what people are on Instagram for. It's social. So when someone likes your image, or they take the time to write a comment on your post, because actually they are giving up their time if they're spending time on your feed, take a little time to respond back. And it's best if you don't just say thank you. Try to even personalize that response. That'll go a long way to building that relationship. And as others who are following your feed see that engagement, that'll encourage them to engage. So it'll just continue to boost your presence. Also, post frequently. If you're going to take the time to start this, make sure that you're dedicated to it and try to be consistent in the frequency of your posting, because you don't want to start out your posting daily and you really get some, once you've gained a little momentum, to then just drop off the face of the earth and not post for a month or two. You really want to establish something consistent. And that may be different for each of you. I know not all, you may be doing this yourself, or maybe you're lucky enough to have a team to help you. But decide that frequency and stick to it. And actually, it's suggested that you post at least once a day. Because if you post, when posting 7 or more times a week, Instagram follower growth increased by 56%. So it's really worth your time. But again, make sure that they're thoughtful. But you can repost, there's turn back Tuesdays or throwback Tuesdays. There's things that you can do. You can recycle posts, especially ones that got a lot of engagement the first time around. You can bring those back. But also, over 3 months, posting less than once a day, increasing to 7 or more posts a day, increased likes by nearly 13%. And that's the kind of engagement you want because they're actually taking the time to click. And use the visit my link in bio. That's a really great way to encourage engagement. Customer care. That's what this all boils down to because 29% of consumers are more likely to go to a competitor if they get ignored on social. So again, just make sure that you're taking the time to engage with those people, and hopefully that'll help to grow and build your business. Every comment you miss is potentially lost revenue. Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Any questions? Okay, great. Thank you very much.